Hello, everyone. I'm back. Welcome. This is Sound of History, which is a podcast that talks about music history and cultural history. I am trying to comb through what exactly was going on around the turn of the last century. And I am kind of doing these episodes chronologically, kind of. I'm trying to, at least. So I have begun around the end of the 1800s, and I am slowly working my way onward. So there are so many things, so many artists, musicians, songs that we have no clue about and that has been largely forgotten in history. And I just thought that it was about time to rediscover all these forgotten people that lived and dreamed 100 years ago. I feel like we've been spending a lot of time in Europe in the last couple of episodes, so let's shift our focus back to the United States of America. I want to talk about the birth of pop music, specifically the first so-called hit factory, where making songs became big business, and the goal was simply to crank out catchy commercial tunes to sell as many records as possible and to make a lot of money. Let's kick off this episode with some commercially produced pop music from 1906.
Did you ever see two Yankees part upon a foreign shore? When the good ship is just about to start for old New York once more, with tears dimmed eye they say goodbye, they're friends without a doubt. When the men on the pier shout loud and clear as the ship strikes out, give my regards to Broadway, remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. Whisper of how I'm yearning to mingle with the old-time throng. Give my regards to old Broadway and say that I'll be there ere long. Say hello to dear old Coney Isle if there you chance to be. When you're at the Waldorf, have a smile and chant it up to me. Mention my name every place you go, as round the town you roam. We should call on my gal, now remember, old pal, when you get back home. Give my regards to Broadway, remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. Whisper of how I'm yearning to mingle with the old-time throng. Give my regards to old Broadway and say that I'll be there ere long.
That was American singer-superstar Billy Murray singing Give My Regards to Broadway. He was incredibly popular during his time alive, and he is known for selling over 300 million records during the phonograph era, among other things. Let me set the scene. It's the early 1900s in New York City, and the streets are alive with the sound of piano riffs tumbling from second-story windows, because somewhere between 6th Avenue and Broadway, there is a cluster of cramped offices. And these offices are collectively known as Tin Pan Alley. And they are cranking out what will become America's first pop songs. Nobody really agrees on when Tin Pan Alley ended, but most people point to around 1885 as the moment when Tin Pan Alley really kicked off. A man with the name Willis Woodward, who ran one of the first music publishing houses that focused solely on pop songs instead of religious hymns or classical stuff, which were the genres of music that people were listening to and playing in their homes. He decided to move his business to 28th Street, which is located between 6th Avenue and Broadway in Manhattan. And after him, other music publishing houses soon followed. The name Tin Pan Alley and the story about the name is a bit of a mystery. The most popular story, although probably not entirely true, is that a journalist from the New York Herald came up with it. He allegedly said that the constant noise from the out-of-tune pianos playing on that block sounded like a bunch of kids banging on tin pans. And whether that's fact or folklore, the name stuck. The idea behind Tin Pan Alley wasn't born out of some grand artistic vision. It was a business move, because back in the late 1800s, copyright law was, well, pretty much like the Wild West. If a song became a hit, it wouldn't be long before a dozen other publishers were printing their own versions of the song. And there wasn't much the original publisher could do about it. So instead of suing each other back and forth into oblivion, publishers decided to make handshake deals between themselves. Like, hey, you'll take Philadelphia, I'll take Chicago, and we'll all get a slice of the pie. And that's where having everyone in one spot, like Tin Pan Alley, came in handy. Remember, this was before the telephone was yet to become a standard household item. So by having your business buddies just down the street, it meant that you could cut deals super fast. Plus, that it turned the area into a hotbed of songwriting. Freelancers, in-house composers, you name it. They were all cranking out tunes in this hive of musical energy.
Jenny, my own true loved one, I'm going far from thee. Out on the bounding billows, out on the dark blue sea. How I will miss you, my darling, there when the storm is raging high. Jenny, I'll keep your image within my heart so true. Each part of mine forever, till love shall be of you. Dry then your teardrops, my darling, soon will the night of sorrow fly. Cheer up and don't be lonely. Wait till the clouds roll by. Wait till the clouds roll by, Jenny. Wait till the clouds roll by. Jenny, my own true loved one, wait till the clouds roll by.
Wait Till the Clouds Roll By, a song written in 1881 by J.T. Wood and A.J. Fulmer, and here it was sung by Walter Van Brunt, recorded in 1916. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, if it brings you entertainment, distraction, joy, something positive, I hope, you can really help me out by subscribing, commenting, rating, liking, and recommending this pod. I put in a lot of time and effort into making this podcast. There is research to be done, reading and writing, and I love doing it. I want to continue doing it. But it would be fantastic if more people would show their support for this podcast, which would also help me find more listeners. Thank you so much for your help. Now back to the episode. So after Willis Woodward's move to 28th Street, more men soon followed, with emphasis on men. And all these men who together built Tin Pan Alley weren't classically trained composers or conservatory graduates. They were literal salesmen. Before launching music empires, just to name a few, you had Isidor Whitmark, who sold water filters before deciding to get into the music industry. Leo Feist was selling corsets, and Joe Stern and Edward B. Marks were selling neckties and buttons before becoming music publishers. And when these businessmen moved into music publishing, they brought that same entrepreneurial hustle, and that is how Tin Pan Alley was born. And all these publishing houses that lined West 28th Street in Manhattan were filled with energy, and the street was alive. And every day there was a mix of songwriters, vaudeville stars, Broadway performers, and musicians who were coming and going in and out of these offices, all chasing the next big hit. So, as you can hear, Tin Pan Alley was not about creating timeless art, but about turning music into a product that you could sell. And back then, people didn't have Spotify or even phonographs in most homes. And if you wanted to listen to music, you had to play it yourself. Families gathered around the piano in the living room, and publishers were eager to sell them sheet music to play. By the year 1887, Americans were buying more than 25,000 pianos a year, and about 500,000 people were learning to play. So that's like 1 in every 29 households with an aspiring musician. So what were these folks playing when they got together around the piano in the living room? Before Tin Pan Alley, it was mostly hymns and light classical pieces, but music publishers realized that people wanted something more fun. In the beginning, Tin Pan Alley churned out melodramatic ballads and novelty songs, but as new styles like cakewalk, ragtime, and later jazz and blues swept the country, the alley evolved as well. And publishers adapted these new sounds, although often smoothing out the edges to make them easier to sell as sheet music to amateur singers or small-town bands. So basically, they were creating songs that were catchy, easy to play, and perfect for sing-alongs at home. At its peak, Tin Pan Alley was pumping out thousands of songs every year, and the first big hit was Wait Till the Clouds Roll By, that I just played. But the monster hit that really shook things up was After the Ball, written by Charles K. Harris. That song was printed and sold as sheet music, and it was pulling in $25,000 a week in 1891, and it sold more than 5 million copies. And Harris actually self-published the song because he was insulted by how little the big publishers offered him. So, long before the term existed, After the Ball was an indie hit. It was self-published by Harris himself when no one else would touch it, and eventually selling millions of copies. So this is basically one of the first indie pop songs in history. And when it became a big hit, it inspired other songwriters to do the same, to self-publish.
An old man's knee, begged for a story to sweetheart, my love, my own. I wish some water leave me alone. When I return, dear, there stood a man kissing my sweetheart as lovers can. Down fell the glass cat, broken, that's all. Just as my heart was after the ball. Many a heart is aching if you could read them all. Many the hopes that have vanished after the ball.
That was Vernon Dalhart and company performing After the Ball. This recording is made 20 or so years after the original release as sheet music. This recording is from 1925. What was happening on the inside of Tin Pan Alley, inside of these cramped, sweaty offices? Basically, you had songwriters who were sitting in tiny rooms in front of a battered upright piano, trying to pick out a catchy melody and compose the next big hit. But you also had someone called a song plugger, whose job it was to promote the song by singing it to a vaudeville star, for example, who might be visiting the office that day. So the song plugger's job is basically to convince this vaudeville star to add the new song to her act. And if the vaudeville star says yes and sings this song in front of an audience, then it might become a hit. So when vaudeville acts came through New York, they always made sure to stop by Tin Pan Alley. Mid-level performers might pay to license new songs, while headliners were given songs for free or even paid to sing them, because music publishers knew that a star performance promoting their song was pure advertising gold. But song plugging could also get aggressive, and one notorious tactic known as booming involved buying up tickets to live shows and planting pluggers in the audience to loudly sing the song over and over until it stuck. And there's one story of an aggressive music publisher with the name Shapiro, Bernstein and Company, who was using cycle races at Madison Square Garden as an opportunity to promote the company's songs. So they planted a song plugger that was shouting songs at a crowd of 20,000 people with a horn, together with a pianist. And to quote Louis Bernstein from Shapiro, Bernstein and Company, he said, "We'd sing a song to them 30 times a night. They'd cheer and yell, and when people walked out, they'd be singing the song. They couldn't help it." End quote.
Place, talk, scene, dog,
One of the most popular and famous singers, female singers, during the beginning of the 1900s, Ada Jones, singing By the Light of the Silvery Moon. Back in the second half of the 1800s, copyright laws were pretty much non-existent, and music publishers could print their own versions of hit songs without asking or paying anyone. And into this world walked countless hopeful, aspiring songwriters, maybe with nothing more than a melody in their head or perhaps a fully written composition. And these songwriters would walk into Tin Pan Alley trying to pitch their ideas to these music publishers, hoping that someone would buy their song. But if you were unknown and not already an established composer or songwriter, selling a song often meant handing over all your rights for a flat fee, a one-time payment, or watching as the publisher puts someone else's name on your work. But towards the end of the 1800s, copyright protections tightened and the tables began to turn, and songwriters, composers, lyricists, and publishers started working together to make sure that the right names were on the sheet music and the right people got paid for their work.
In the good old summertime, played by the Edison Concert Band.
In the good old summertime, a Tin Pan Alley song that was first published in 1902, and here it was performed by the Edison Band. Around the end of the 1800s, copyright only protected sheet music, like the paper itself, so if someone stole your melody and sang it in a theater, for example, there wasn't much you could do about it. But that changed in 1897 when Congress added public performance rights to the law. So now, technically, performers had to get permission to sing a copyrighted song in public. And it sounded great on paper, but in reality, enforcement was chaos. And most vaudeville houses didn't pay royalties, and performers sang whatever they wanted to sing. And some even traveled with fake credits, swapping names on songs as they toured. And this is where the ASCAP enters the picture, the Songwriters Union. By 1914, songwriters were fed up. Their music was being played everywhere. It was sung on stage, played in restaurants, played in dance halls, but these songwriters were not receiving any recognition or money for their work. So they were getting tired of being robbed of credit and cash, and a group of established, well-known songwriters decided to get together and fight back. And these songwriters formed ASCAP, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. And they had one mission, and it was to make sure that songwriters got paid whenever their work was performed in public. And almost overnight, the rules of the game began to change. ASCAP took theaters and venues to court demanding royalties, and some gave in and paid them, and others resisted. And now there was a new kind of battle. It was creators versus the entertainment industry, but this time the songwriters were not going to back down. And this was the birth of modern music copyright and the royalty system, the very foundation of the commercial music industry as we know it today. And this is where my little story ends, the tale of how the commercial music industry was born and the creation of pop music. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please don't forget to follow, comment, rate, and like this podcast. I will be back soon again with another episode about really, really old music and stuff. So now I'm saying goodbye, and until next time.